Philip. Main story. Chapter 15. The moon lit the way as we stepped while we broke into the castle. It's already scary. It's almost scary. This is odd. Philip seemed to feel the same way, and Victor and I looked at one another. Even if they weren't expecting us to break in here today, there should be more guards than this. You're right, and Orlando at least should know about what your goal is by now. Either way, it would be foolish to linger. Make sure you keep an ear out. And be careful. Right beside where Philip was talking, Skeletana, little by little, started to shake until his body was rattling audibly. Calm down, Skeletana. It's going to be all right. You need to be quiet. It might mean life imprisonment if you're caught. Imprisonment? Skeletana had grown even more afraid at the word imprisonment, and his bones clacked together loudly. Don't worry, you won't be sent to prison. I will protect you. Philip. We seemed to be moved by the same beat as we harmonized perfectly with one another. But still, thinking about it now, the castle is a really big place. Where do we even start to look? I don't know whether I had finished talking first, or if his movements had been first. But the ghost had suddenly moved. I can sense the sweet scent of the living. It's a strong scent like the smell of honey. The living? No. The gate is near. And with those words, the ghost immediately headed towards a particular part of the castle. I thought this direction was... I followed Nick in the direction he was going. Else who was curious as to why I suddenly ran off like that. The place we followed him to was somewhere I had been time and time again. Huh? Is it really here? The place Nick had come to was one countless numbers of the deceased had visited. It was the audience chamber, and even worse, Orlando and the king were there. It's close, but the smell is so thick in here that I can't tell exactly where. The ghost bowed his head, looking apologetic as he spoke. I'd hoped to be of help to you, Princess. You have! You. We're very close to finding the answer. The only problem is... I was about to explain when a brave yet slightly shaky voice echoed from behind me. I, Skeletana, ask that you leave this to me. I'll draw Lord Orlando away from this room. Skeletana, you can't. This is Orlando we're talking about here. If he catches you, he'll put you in prison until the end of time. Princess, my will is much harder and stronger than even these bones of mine. He was no longer shaking as he demonstrated a resounding nod and gave my head a gentle pat. Philip, Victor, and the undetectable, whose name I do not know, I trust this to your care. Skeletana placed his right hand over his right hips and bowed in a deep, gentlemanly manner. I had the impression he was smiling calmly. I shall be going now. And with those words, Skeletana made his way to Orlando. I could see him standing tall from behind. Orlando! Big news! The princess has returned, and she wishes to speak with you! Skeletana tripped over and crashed spectacularly to the ground. Even Orlando's stony face changed at this desperately act out panic. After a moment of thought, he left with Skeletana, who had promised to guide him, and now the king was the only person left in the audience chamber. Now it's all up to me. I was about to run inside when... Your Majesty! I heard a solitary voice coming from the opposite direction to us. I wish to speak to you. About that harem we talked about in the past. Would you please... come to my room? What? Really? You'll come and be part of my harem, Sunny? I'll come. I'm coming right now. We were taken aback by how quickly the king disappeared from the audience chamber before slipping into the room ourselves. I blinked several times, unable to comprehend what happened. What's going on? Behind me, Victor sighed in relief, and then laughed. Did you ask Sunny to do that? I sent her a note saying that I knew I was a lot, but could she find a way to draw the king out of the room? The means she used before understanding the situation boggled my mind, and I looked back in the direction she had left. That is how far everyone is willing to go to help. I will make sure that nothing untoward happens to her as a result of this. Seeing Victor's reassuring smile and the genuinely passionate feelings of those who are willing to help us, Thank you, truly, thank you all so much. If you all hadn't been here, I might have given up by now. I wanted to express some of what I was feeling in my heart and tell them of my appreciation. It's your determination, Jandy, that has spurred up not only me, but everyone here into action. I am the luckiest girl in the world. I can never think. With a heart so full, it might overflow, I started to search in every nook and cranny of the audience room with the others. But we failed to find anything that even remotely resembled a gate. I worried for Skeletano and Sunny with the time we had taken already bearing no fruit. I felt the need to hurry, but remained calm in my search. But even though the gate could not be found, where is it? I took a deep breath, not wishing to lose my composure. I closed my eyes and tried to sort out the information in my mind. I found it. I tried to remain calm when I heard Nick's words, and hurried over to him. I ran over to Nick, who was by the throne. The throne? Is the throne the gate? I tried to keep my overworked mind in check, and gave the throne a good look. Not there, princess. Here. I looked where the ghost pointed. It was the monument that stood behind the throne, an object I had seen so many times I had come to overlook it. This is it? I exclaimed a little loudly, and the ghost nodded happily in response. Philippe and Victor came to join me, and the reaction to the monument was not much different to my own. What was slightly different was the fact that when Philippe touched it, it started to glow. Would you try touching it too, please, Jandy? I did as he asked, and touching the monument, which now appeared to be the gate into the land of the living, I felt a strong sensation, like my heart was ready to start pumping at any moment. I felt like I would come back to life. Philip turned to me with a smile. That kind of a warm smile where a person could either laugh or cry. I want to come back to life. I want the chance to be able to redo the time I spent with Philip. My heart was full of hope, and it was also filled to the brim with happiness. I touched the gate to the land of the living once more. Philip and I looked at one another, both of us smiling. We instantly held hands. We were just about to reach for the gate when we heard something roll across the floor. I thought you might be here. I saw the white sticks that rolled along the ground, and I easily knew them to be parts of Skeletano. I will congratulate you on coming this far, but I must ask you to put this folly at an end. His sharp glare was in direct contrast to his kindly spoken words. I gulped. The force of the atmosphere he was giving off and his words fraught with anger near floored me.
Hello, Orlando. It's been a while. I see. You cannot be described as dead yet, but it does seem like you are more than willing to join our order.
2 guards appeared behind Orlando. They brought out a single object of bone that they had brought with them. Skeletano! Skeletano's wrist was held up high, and he let out a self-deprecating laugh. I'm sorry. All I wanted was to not be the ball and chain that drags you down. He must have felt genuinely mortified. Skeletano's shoulders shook slightly, and I could hear them pulling.
Princess, can I ask you to bring an end to this ridiculous farce?
It was easy enough for me to see just how Orlando could have been able to make Skeletano talk. But just as I was about to speak, what about real true love? Skeletano's appall rang throughout the audience chamber. That has been my sole dream and hope throughout my entire existence, even if I were to lose all of my flesh and bones. This is a completely serious matter, and one I very much cannot forgive. Skeletano's convictions had the attention of everyone in the audience chamber. Orlando and the guards were taken aback.
Orlando, would you be so kind as to release Skeletano?
Philip walked towards Orlando. He gave the fearless-looking Philip an odd look.
If you honestly think I would be so soft, then obviously I have been doing something wrong.
Diversely, at Philip's request. Philip kept walking to Orlando head-on. After 3 more steps, he would be right in Orlando's face. Philip spoke out in a muffled voice because the guard right next to Orlando had lifted Skeletano's tightly held wrist up into the air once more.
Stop that!
The guard gave Philip a curious look. I cannot stand to think that I was holding you back. Please, just imagine that I'm just a mannequin. Skeletano's words of conviction overlapped slightly with Philip's softer tones.
You are a dear friend to me, Skeletano.
Philip! Skeletano cried out in a snuffled voice. Philip smiled at him as if to set his mind at ease.
Hang in there just a little bit longer, Skeletano.
Philip sank down low, bending at the knee, when he suddenly sprung right up in front of the guard.